Welcome to my Magicka Nightblade build for no CP PvP in the Dragonhold patch. This is my Hemostorm build that uses the Nightblade's unique abilities to forego the normal defenses and allows us to play a rather strong range damage dealer, while we also still have the up close and personal abilities and options that a Nightblade brings to the table. With that, we're just kind of going to jump into our stats. So first up, we did put 64 into Magicka. This gives us a nice 27k of Magicka. Our health is sitting at almost 22k, and our max stamina is about 11.5k. Now the stamina is kind of low, but we still have enough to dodge roll once or twice before we really can't anymore. Magic recovery is very high at almost 2.3k. Health recovery is low. We are a vampire, so this really does not come into play. Stamina recovery is just enough that with a few cloaks we get most of our stamina back and we can dodge roll again. Your spell damage is sitting at 2.2k, almost 2.3k, and you have a 56% spell crit. Your resistances are pretty low, and your crit resist is sitting almost at 1.3k. Flipping over to our back bar, you can see we see a drop in spell damage and spell crit, but we are getting a boost to max health, and I'll go over why that is. Same with a little boost to Magicka. Alright, so next let's look at race. So I've picked Khajiit because I like the skills that you get. So the nice thing about Khajiit, you get health recovery, which is less important in this build, but you get both stamina and Magicka recovery. This is very helpful. Your stamina recovery is pretty low, a little bit extra, it goes a long way. You get a buff to every single stat. We can use all of that. You know, as a Magicka player, having a little extra stamina to dodge roll one more time, always good. And then, of course, your final passive, which is the critical damage and critical healing by 10%. This is really big. We use this a lot, and we are even stealthier, which really, with this build, actually has a benefit in Cyrodiil for getting right on top of people and unleashing a burst, and they don't even know about it until it's too late. Sometimes you can even get on other cloak players and they don't know you're there, but you see them. So that's why we choose Khajiit. There are some other options. You could go Ultimar, you could go Breton, you know. But really, I like Khajiit, and I think they fit this build the best. Jumping into food, let's take a look. We have a couple options. Clockwork Citrus Fillet is obviously the best. You get more health, more Magicka, and more Magicka recovery, and you also get health recovery than if you were to use the cheaper option, which is Witch Mother's Potent Brew. Now, 90% of the time, this is more than enough. You know, you can just use this. It's cheaper by far. So don't feel bad if you're using this. This is what I use on 99% of the time. I very rarely, if ever, use my gold food because I don't want to pay that much. Potions, you have a couple really good options. Now you're running Inner Light on your front bar, so Essence of Detection is really better than a spell damage, spell crit, and Magicka pot. You really don't need that. So instead you get that Stealth Detection, which is really good for hunting other Nightblades, Major Sorcery, and Magicka. This is if you are not really taking any damage, you're using these potions, and not even that often. You really don't need it too much. Essence of Health, this is your big tripod. If you are really low on all your resources, pop one of these and you are going to be good to go for a long time. Jumping over, we have two different Essence of Immovability. Now, one is a Magicka Health and Knockback. This is really great if you just need a little extra Magicka. And the other one is Stamina. If you can't dodge roll again and you are knocked down, this will really help you, because the minute your knockback and disables can come back in that 10 seconds, you're going to have more than enough stamina. So this is a really good option as well. As far as the Moondisk Stone goes, you're going to be jumping on the Shadow. We're just going to be stacking even more crit damage on top of that Khajiit passive. This is going to be kind of a theme based on how much crit that we have. So next we're going to look at sets. First up is Mother Sorrow. We're going to do that on all our body slots. We're going to do 1, 2, 3 in pen, 2 well fitted, all tri-stat. Now this is what really gives us a nice stamina and health pool, and having a little bit lower Magicka really isn't that big of a deal for this build. Our monster set is Balrogs. Again, Tri-Stat, Impen, Heavy, Medium, all light. This is going to give you your light, medium, and heavy for your Undaunted passives, which is even more resources. Now, Jewelry, New Moon Acolyte, it's just really great. I do Magicka Recovery on the rings and Swift, and then on the necklace, it's Infused Magicka Recovery. This is going to offset your active abilities costing 5 more, along with your Siphoning Strikes. So between those two, you just almost don't even need potions to recover Magicka. They're really for those big, long, 3, 5, 10-minute fights where you're popping potions just to keep up. Front bar, Inferno Staff, Shock Damage, Nern. I mean, this is the combo I go with. This is how you're going to pump out a lot of damage. You don't really need more spell crits, so don't worry about that. On your back bar, because of this, we used infused weapon damage of willpower, just that extra Magicka. And when we're on our buff bar on the back bar, we're not paying an extra 5% just to cast those spells. And having Cloak back there, you would be paying a lot to consistently cloak. Alright, so after that, let's take a look at some of our skills. Alright, on our front bar, we're going to run Swallow Soul. This is our bread and butter for damage dealing. Yeah, the heal over time is like 10 seconds, and it's every 2 seconds, but you're just going to be spamming this, and you're going to heal off of it quite a bit. But you're spamming, this is your spammable. It's got a nice long range. I mean, 41 meters is a long way. 41 meters, I mean, this is also by being near a keep. So it does go down a little bit. Crippling Grasp, pretty cheap. It does a little bit up front and some more damage over time, but the reason you're grabbing this is it immobilizes them for 2 seconds, so they've got to do something to run, and then they're still reducing their movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. This is how you constantly catch up. Sork streaking away, Crippling Grasp, he's immobilized, he's slower. You're going to eventually catch up. He's not going to get away from you. Can't tell you how many times I've gotten Sorks because of that. We're going to jump over to the 4th ability, which I use, Merciless Resolve. This is your I'm going to wreck someone's day ability. So the reducing your damage taken isn't a really big thing. We don't even really worry about that, but the Assassin's Will part of it, so when you hit your 5 light attacks, heavy attacks actually count for 2, so you can do 2 heavies and 1 light, or 3 lights and 1 heavy. You get that Assassin's Will, which you can shoot for, mine showing it like 11.5k, and it heals you, so if you're nearby the enemy, which sometimes you really are. But the way you do with this is you cloak right before you shoot it, a guaranteed crit on this. That will hurt very much. Inner Light, this is really just to buff up your max Magicka and give you Major Prophecy. You can use it to find Nightblades, but we have potions for that as well, so it's not really as necessary because it does drain a lot of Magicka. And then we'll go back to Impale. Now this is our Execute. When someone gets low, you pop an Impale, it hurts, and it's got that nice range to it. Soul Harvest, the reason we're using this is not to actually use the ability itself, but when it's slotted, when you kill an enemy, you gain 10 ultimate. Being in Cyrodiil, you've got the passive, you're basically gaining, let's see, what is it? I think it's 30? Yeah, 20 plus the 10, 30 ultimate. That is a lot of ultimate. You are able to generate a ton off of these things. So, going to our back bar. Lotus Fan, the reason we're doing this, if we're jumping in, we do a bunch of damage to everyone around us, and everyone hit gets minor vulnerability, which is an extra 8% damage for 10 seconds. This is how you set up the burst chain, right? So on top of that, you've got Race Against Time, which you'll set up beforehand. You run this, you get that minor force. That's, again, more critical damage. So we are sitting at, I think it's 13 from the Shadow Mundus, 10 from your Racial Passes, 10 from this. I mean, you're starting to stack up the critical damage, and it hurts, even if people have critical resists. You also remove your snares and immobilizations, which is kind of nice. Concealed Weapon. We don't really ever use this. This is literally just for the movement speed buff while sneaking and invisible. You move fast when you're invisible. You've got 2 Swift Rings, Race Against Time, Concealed Weapon. You are moving. Shadowy Disguise, basically the Nightblade's bread and butter. On top of that, you cloak. Your next ability is a Critical Strike. That is so strong. And we've got Siphoning Attacks, so basically get that health, get that Magicka back. You just keep this up and you will consistently get your Magicka, and this is what keeps you from having to spend potions like a madman. Alright, Soul Tether, this is the ultimate we're using. You are going to basically Lotus Fan into a group, Soul Tether, but if you really want to do it the right way, you're going to Lotus Fan in, Cloak, Soul Tether, and before you even do that, you're going to have used your Race Against Time. This is how you buff up this damage so much. Then, on top of that, you're healing for even more from all of those people that you hit. This is how you create a lot of damage when you're in a group setting. This is how you do it. Even against one person, this is a really great ult because it heals you up so much. As far as passives go, you're picking up all your passives. And again, here we go. When you have an assassination ability slotted, another 10% critical damage. And when you do that, it's just so much. I mean, you're talking about 3 10% and a 13%. You just gotta stop. So you can see that these all kind of get into it. Spell damage when you're sneaking or invisible, 10%. If you have a stun from sneak, it's an extra 100% time. More recovery on all 3 stats. Your shadow abilities giving you major resolve, and that just gives you your physical resistance and your spell resistance. Get a little bit of extra health on the back bar because we do have the Shadowy Disguise and the Concealed Weapon, and then non-invisibility, an extra 2 seconds for those abilities. 20 ultimate every time you drink a potion. Again, more ultimate. You are able to drink a potion if you just need that little bit of extra. More max Magicka for a siphoning ability, which we have on both bars. Increase your healing done for each siphoning ability, so you can see 6% on the back, 6% on the front. It's nice. And then whenever you cast it, you get 2 ultimate every 4 seconds. This is your spammable, so you're always getting that. So again, more ultimate generation. As far as weapons, you're only really using Destruction Staffs, and you only need Trifocus, Elemental Force, and Ancient Knowledge. You're not using any Destruction Staff abilities, so no Penetrating Magic, no Destruction Expert. They don't do anything for you. Armor, straight down the line for all of your light armor abilities. Your medium armor, you obviously can't use Agility, and your heavy armor, the 3 that you can use again. You are a vampire, so again, you're going to want to grab these. You can run Elusive Mist, but really you're a Nightblade with a cloak. You don't need it. You really don't, and you're already fast enough. So the reason we are a vampire and we go to stage 4 is for this ability alone. You ignore the movement speed penalty while in crouched. So if you are sneaking around Cyrodiil, you are going to be able to move. So you're going to move at normal speed, Race Against Time, and then your Concealed Weapon for another 25%. You haul. Oh, and your Swift Rings. So you are moving fast, even when sneaking. People don't even realize you're sneaking if they're in your group. They think you're just running around. As far as guilds, nothing in the Dark Brotherhood is going to help you. We do like Banish the Wicked for the 9 ultimate if you kill Undead, Daedra, or Werewolves. Well, there's Werewolves and Vampires in Cyrodiil. So you're going to get an extra 9 ultimate every so often. So let's say you kill a Vampire, you're gaining 39 ultimate, and that's not even counting just the ultimate from light attacking that you would get. So I mean, you're gaining close to 40 to 50 ultimate when you kill someone. It's ridiculous. Mage's Guild, you can grab everything. Some of these are really nice. They reduce the costs, increase the duration. If you accidentally do it, give you more Magicka. So on that front bar with Inner Light, you get a little extra. And if you do happen to get it, you do get Empower. So that's not bad. So Psijic Order, you're using Race Against Time. You can basically get all of these, and the only one that won't do you any good is Deliberation. You're not channeling or casting. If you went with the channeled acceleration instead of Race Against Time, you could, but I prefer Race Against Time as it's easier to use when cloaked. It actually is usable. Thieves Guild, nothing's going to help you. Undaunted, you're going to grab both of these. You are going to get that synergy. So whenever you synergize, you're going to get those resources back. That's always nice. And that's 6% of all your resources. That is just too good to pass up. Assault, grab all the passives. Make sure you've got your maneuver. I like charging maneuver. But I mean, extra spell damage, extra stamina recovery, and magicka recovery is always nice. The extra range, and the ultimate. You're not going to get anything from Magical Aid, but you can get Combat Medic, which is nice, and Battle Resurrection. Those are both very useful. Racial, we kind of went over. And for crafting, all you need is medicinal use. That 30% extra potion time is really invaluable. That is it for my Hemostorm build. I hope you like it. I hope you give it a try out. It is a lot of fun. I just always am having a blast whenever I play it. It doesn't take a whole lot to learn how to really get decent at it, and then getting that extra step to being really good at it, it really pays off, and you do really start to drop people hard. So I'm going to show some footage of me playing the build on the live server. I hope you enjoy.